Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
Korea, it's a sign that at long last, Money Mayweather may no longer be in pursuit of as much money as possible. He's made $1 billion. He wouldn't live long enough to earn $1 trillion. So what remains other than to live his life, have some fun, and reflect on a financial job extremely well done? Unless, of course, someone offers him a fight where he'd make $300 million. Most likely, he would take the bait. Hey, he's rich and retired, not crazy.
Have been tied to the independence of Brazil. Portugal, at the time, wanted 2 million sterling before they could agree to grant Brazil their independence. Brazil, under the oppression of Portugal, had no means to pay this money. So, the Rothschilds stepped in and paid the entire sum to the Portuguese government. Brazil then had to pay their debt to the family over time, with interest. One of the most dramatic ways in which the Rothschilds have displayed their influence on the world is by setting the price of gold itself. From 1919 to 2004, the Rothschilds, along with other leading traders in the gold industry, met every so often to decide the price of the precious metal. The earliest meetings were hosted and controlled by the Rothschilds themselves, as they decided the cost of the metal that serves as the backbone to most economies, the metal that they own so much of. For the past 150 years, the Rothschilds have been in the winemaking business as well. The Rothschild family owns a multitude of wine estates in France, which include the Chateau Clermont, the Chateau de la Mouette, the Chateau Rothschild des Armenviers, and more. Pardon me. Just a few years later, America was in a recession, and the family would swoop in once again. Before the Great Depression, the United States was running low on gold and experienced one of the first recessions in its young history. President Grover Cleveland, in an attempt to save the nation, reached out to J.P. Morgan and the Rothschilds to bail out the United States government. In the form of a loan, the two parties obliged. The U.S. is just one colonial branch in the Rothschilds' tree of influence. The thing with the Rothschilds is that you're never going to see them in a Forbes magazine. They've done such a fantastic job of not only concealing their wealth by diversifying it in a multitude of outlets and through generations of heirs and successors, but it's because of this fact that many people believe the Rothschilds to be the wealthiest family to ever exist.
Okay, so when you compare the slave money Mayweather versus the masters who set policies and set prices on the gold, how much materials is worth, you see how much the dollar is worth, bailing out countries. You ain't buying cars now, we buying countries. We setting the price of material. We setting money. We controlling the money. We living in two different worlds. See, just because he got this money, he don't understand you still ain't changed your condition. Your condition is the same. And you thinking you doing something, but you pretty much wasting your time, because that ain't even worth doing all that for. You know, you the work that you doing, people done was born into that. You know, they inherited being in a position where they could set policies and buy countries and set the price of gold. They was born into that. They didn't have to fight 100 fights and run all around the world talking crazy, trying to promote some fight to get some chump change, you know, or to live in so-called luxury. They didn't have to do none of these things because they got theirs through a blessing. And it's not a carnal blessing where their forefather had a vault of gold or a treasure of gold, and he hid it in the wall, and the land that he bought, they got all the gold, and they bringing the gold out, passing around the world, letting everybody use the gold on interest, and so they pretty much benefiting through the actions of their forefather. But no, their forefather begged for a spiritual blessing, and it was like he was begging for gold. Now, I got to break that down first, just to lay a foundation on how these slaves think they can even be compared to these people that's on a whole nother level. They living the rich life. They living as kings on the earth. You still a peasant and a slave, and you trying to brag in front of the other slaves. Now, you go to this blessing, this spiritual blessing that was given to this family. It spelled out some specific things. Now I got this complete Jewish Bible, and I'm gonna go to Genesis 27, and Genesis 27, 38 and 40. Let's see what this says. It says, Esau said unto his father, have you only one blessing, my father? Bless me too. Esau wept aloud, and Isaac his father answered him, here your home will be of the richness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. Verse 40, you will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother, but when you break loose, you will shake his yoke off your neck. Now, the dominion part, which is in the King James, they took out. That lets you know they don't want you to get the whole understanding, because dominion is rulership. See, they was given a rulership blessing, and that says a lot, because the King James didn't have richness, it had fatness of the earth. But they had, your home will be of the richness of the earth. So they tried to say his home and his house, he just gonna have a rich house. You see, they tried to put it towards the house. But in the King James Version, it says that he shall have dominion. It shall come to pass when you shall have the rulership of the earth. And so, this is where the riches is coming from. This is how these individuals can set the price of gold and buy countries, because they was given a blessing, and they the king. You see, they running the operation because they're the king. But they don't want you to know they're a king, because kings get assassinated, even by their own people. So they trying to make sure they can hold down the kingdom, and keep it in the family pretty much. But the kingdom is theirs, and it's a blessing that was given to their forefathers. And so when you're thinking about Mayweather, he don't understand what position he is, because you can see how he's spending his money. Now, I'm gonna go to Job 20, verse 6. It breaks down the riches of these individuals. It say, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds. So these individuals, the riches that they got is reaching up to the heaven and up to the cloud. Nobody gonna be above them when it comes to riches. Everybody is under their pay rate. Now talking about the Money Mayweather. See, he don't understand the position he in, and if he understood, this is what he would be doing. Now, when you go to Hebrews, it pretty much lets you know what Moses did, because Moses was in the same situation. It says, let's see, Hebrews 11:24 say, by faith, when he was come to years, Salakia. Hebrews 11:24, by faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. 25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. 26, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt. So Moses could have lived in the king's house and doing pretty good like the king, because he was known as the Pharaoh's child, pretty much Pharaoh's daughter's child. So he could live good. But he understood that the riches that's going to come with his people is going to be way much greater than the riches of him just being an average Joe in somebody else's kingdom, a rich guy in somebody else's kingdom, living comfortably in somebody else's kingdom. See, it was going to be greater riches that he was going to get living this so-called afflicted lifestyle with the people of God and his people. He understood that, and that's why he lived the life that he lived. But these individuals, they don't know the plight that they're in. You know, they just looking at it in poor and rich. That's all they seeing. I want to be a part of the rich. I want to be a part of the poor, not knowing that the poor, the next kingdom is going to be for the poor. And you're not going to, the poor is not going to be poor, because they got a better blessing than what these dragons got. See, they can set the price of gold and do all this stuff, but the blessing, the reason why they forefathers was crying, because these so-called poor people got a blessing coming that's way better than anything that they can dream of. Now, when you go to Genesis 27, it says in 29, it start off But 28 start off the blessing, but 29 give you the main ideal of the blessing. Genesis 27:29. Let people serve thee. That means you're going to have slaves. That's riches. And nations bow down to thee. See, that's why they blessing. They showing you how your blessing going to be, but yours going to be 100 times better. But you supplying nations. You over a nation. When you can buy a nation, you over them. They owe you money. They got to serve you. Now it say, be Lord over thy brethren. See, you can set the price of gold. You the Lord over all your brothers. Your family is ruling over all the rest of the families from your bloodline. And it say, let thy mother's son bow down to thee. You see, they gonna have to bow down to us, even though we some poor people now, but they gonna have to bow down to us, man. That's the blessing Esau was crying about. When his daddy told him that blessing, he repeated it to him. In verse 37, he repeated it to him and told Esau the blessing. And yeah, I'm gonna start at 37. He said, Isaac answered and said unto Esau, so you finna tell Esau the blessing. He said, I have made him your Lord. Oh my goodness. And all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? So that's what made Esau go to crying. He realized that in the eyes of Isaac and the one that's giving out the blessing, I made him your Lord. So even though you're going to get another blessing, you still going to have to be his servant. You're going to get the rule for a little bit, little period of time, That's why when you go to Job, it say, let's read that right quick. Because see, they don't understand that it's not going to last forever. And that's the reason they so upset. When you go to Job 20, it say, 20 verse 5, it say the triumphing of the wicked, that's the children of Esau, is short. And the joy of the hypocrite, but for a moment. You see, they don't understand, or they do understand, the elite children do, that they gonna get, they got the short blessing. And so that's why when you go to verse 41, Esau, it said, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. Come on. And so these individuals trying to hide the fact that they got the blessing. And I don't know why you trying to hide it, but nobody can take it from you. You're going to have the blessing until the Creator take it from you. So you can relax on that one. That's a spiritual blessing that's guaranteed. That was guaranteed to happen. And it happened. And we can see the individuals who got the riches and got the blessing. And we see the people who haven't got the blessing. It's a clear operation. But Negroes look at Mayweather like he done did something and he done got he got the blessing or something. He is not part of none of that. But just like Moses, you can live in the Pharaoh's house and live on the hall, you can live a comfortable lifestyle in Pharaoh's house. But remember, this is Pharaoh's house. This is not your house. That's why in Romans 9:17 he say, just like Pharaoh, I have raised thee up He raised Esau up just like Pharaoh. That's the blessing he's giving them right now. So these Negroes don't understand. You just trying to live good in Pharaoh's house, and by you living good in Pharaoh's house, you rejecting your blessing that's coming. And Moses understood, I'm not finna reject my blessing. Pharaoh, have fun in your house. I'm going out here with my people, and I'm gonna live with my people and wait on our blessing to come. But I'm gonna leave it there. All praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem and Kakadash. Double honors to the elders, pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide. The kingdom is at hand. Shalom.